So, Joel Embiid has been on a tear recently, and I want to talk about it. Since All-Star break, Embiid has averaged 35 points, 10 rebounds, and a little over 4 assists. He's been hitting game winners, shutting down the league's bigs, and absolutely taking over his competition. I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Joel Embiid. I have a ton of respect for him and his game. He's undeniably one of the most skilled big men of all time. That's just sort of a fact. The types of shots he can hit stun and amaze me, and the way he's able to draw in defenses and force contact make him one of the most dominant scorers in the modern NBA. But I never really vibed with him, and while I was always very conscious of his abilities and dominance, I don't think I was ever really appreciating his talents. Joel Embiid has been the runner-up for the MVP award these past 2 seasons in a row, and I think a lot of people think it's a disservice or tarnish on his legacy, but I don't think that's true or even quite that simple. For one, media and fans alike tend to not give full credit players deserve when they don't quite win at all. If you lose in the finals, if you're top 3 in the MVP race but don't win, hell, if you're a half point behind the scoring leader that season, you're bound not to be recognized for the true extent of your performance. The relativity is lost. What I'm trying to say is I don't think that Joel Embiid coming in second place for the MVP should ever be seen as a failure on his part. I personally don't think he should have won the award either of the past 2 seasons, but I won't hesitate to admit that he had more than a fair case each time. And now, in the 2022-2023 season, he's once again found himself right in the mix and on the cusp of potentially claiming the award that has eluded him these past few seasons. Embiid is the captain of one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, as well as in the entire NBA. I'm not trying to make this video about the Philadelphia 76ers as a whole, but they've worked their way up to the 3rd seed in the East and are currently on a 6-game winning streak. And during this season, time and time again, Joel Embiid has been the man they defer to, the man they choose to close the game, to shut away the opponents and send them packing home. His outstanding consistency has been one of the more remarkable aspects of his dominance this season. I feel like nearly every time I see the 76ers down or in a close matchup, Embiid remains the clear, calm choice to further the team's lead or bring them back into it. He's proven himself to be one of the most consistent closers in the league, and with his dynamic array of scoring ability, he's one of the deadliest offensive players in the league. But it isn't just his offense. Joel Embiid is no slouch on the defensive end, and at times this season has taken a delight in locking up some of the biggest stars of the league. He's averaging a hair over a block and a half this season, and over 2 since the All-Star break, as well as averaging a steal a game. Two-way capability, and in the case of the upper echelon of players, two-way dominance is a really strong factor in who I consider to be the best players in the league. I'm an immense fan of Nikola Jokic, and I think he's proven himself already to be one of the most prolific offensive players in NBA history, and yet I will be the first to say his defense leaves more than some room to desire. He often isn't quick enough or explosive enough to cover the distance in order to get a stop, and while it is clearly not the reason Nikola Jokic is a great basketball player, it's something certainly worth pointing out. It's a reason I feel I'm higher on Jason Tatum than others, because I really value his ability to impact the game on both ends of the floor, and it would be nothing short of unjust to say Joel Embiid doesn't have that same kind of impact. That ultimately brings me to the subject of whether or not Joel Embiid is an MVP. I think I've made it clear he's done more than enough to prove himself worthy of that honor, but should he win it this season? There's a little less than a month left in the 2022-23 season, but he's remained a top candidate this entire time. And in the most recent stretch of games, particularly while the Denver Nuggets have slipped and Jokic hasn't been as dominant, Embiid has put in some serious work to close whatever gap people might have seen between him and the number 1 spot as the favorite to win the award. I've talked about how this season is unique and how deep the MVP race runs, and while that still holds true much deeper into the season, Embiid has outpaced other candidates like Kevin Durant, Luka Doncic, and seemingly even Jason Tatum. He's almost universally seen as a top 3 in the race at this point, and most have him just a tad under Nikola Jokic before the release of the most recent updated MVP ladder where he took the number 1 spot. The factors that have in the past made me discount him in the end are the same ones I would attribute to him this season. Ultimately, his team is really good. Obviously, the 76ers are nowhere remotely close to their potential if Embiid isn't on the floor, but James Harden is leading the league in assists and dropping almost 22 points per game. Tyrese Maxey has taken the step to just about a 20 points per night guy on decent efficiency that's even better from beyond the arc, and they honestly have one of the deepest and most versatile rosters in the NBA. Comparatively, I know the other MVP favorites like Jokic and Giannis are on really good teams too, but the Nuggets just aren't as good as Philly. Their record of 1-5 in the last 6 games has done a lot to show that they aren't as well-rounded of a team as many might have thought. And Giannis, someone who himself had a slump during the middle of the season for a bit, has had to deal with a lot of injuries from his team, a lot of inconsistent lineups, and yet he has unrelentingly played excellent, leading his team to the best record in the NBA, as well as the first to get 50 wins this season. I think if the Bucks end the season with the best record, not just in the East, but the entire NBA as they are right now, Giannis should be the favorite for the award. It's kind of odd to me that in recent discussions over the MVP of the league, Giannis has been sort of relegated to the obvious third choice, but I just don't think that's true. The fact that he's endured the inconsistency in his go-to supporting cast and has more than kept a team with championship aspirations afloat in their absence, along with performing under pressure when it matters most, combined with career bests, make him what I would consider to be the ideal candidate to represent the MVP of this season. So in the end, no. I don't think Joel Embiid will win the MVP award in the 2022-2023 NBA season. This isn't to say he doesn't deserve to or have more than a valid case for it. And I wouldn't be disappointed if he won it. His performances would be more than a fair representation of the best this season. The reality of it is, there are always going to be more people deserving of an award than actual winners of it. I do think Joel Embiid deserves to win an MVP at some point in his career, but that's just not the way this stuff works. Kobe has one MVP and Steve Nash has two. That should probably be enough to tell you that these awards aren't the end of the conversation. I think great players like Joel Embiid losing out on the MVP award time and time again should be a perfect reason for fans and media alike to stop treating the results of awards as the end-all be-all. Because in reality, there's so much more to offer to basketball discourse if you don't ignore those who are right alongside the eventual winners of said awards. Joel Embiid might honestly retire as a top 30 player in NBA history when it's all said and done, and his lack of success in this particular category, now and potentially into the future, shouldn't be the only way we define his career. I hope you all enjoyed this video, once again trying out the shorter content style in an attempt to make more stuff, so hopefully the quality is still there, or even improving, because that's always the hope. Lastly, I have to once again express my extreme level of gratitude for all of the views and engagement my videos have been starting to get. In the last video, I said I was thankful for receiving a couple hundred views on my trade deadline video, and then the Nuggets video proceeded to get over 2,000. I don't know what to say. You people are amazing for watching and liking and commenting and subscribing and all that corny shit I really was not prepared to be actually thanking anyone for doing. I don't want to sound like a broken record. I just want to say thank you all so much for watching, and take care.